Hello YouTubers, it's Dharma Biker here. Thought I'd talk about what is termed as the genuine heart of sadness. Sounds a bit sinister, doesn't it? A bit gloomy, but let's just investigate. The term coined by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and what it refers to is when one sits in any sort of investigative meditation, we often find that when our mind quiets, when the chatter stops or slows, and the monkey mind becomes silent, that there's this sort of a peace, but also within the peace there's a sense of tender heart, and also a sense of nakedness, a sense of vulnerability, and I can basically talk about my experience of it. I've been meditating now for about 3.5 years. Seriously, 3.5 years. I've been interested in spirituality for probably about 20. And you can investigate with the mind as a tool of learning. You can intellectualize, you can read books, and you can learn to a degree, but really it holds no validity unless you experience something firsthand. Otherwise it's just words or experiences of other people that it's just intellectualizing. It's an intellectual game. Through my own meditation I've investigated, and still I am investigating that phenomena. When I've done Vipassana retreats, quite intensive sitting, 12 to 14 hours a day, you really get this sense of vulnerability, this sense of the genuine heart of sadness. And also because so much comes up, there's no escape. That lots of things come to the surface, our memories, things that we've been ignoring and suppressing, and I think that is one of the things that makes us feel so uncomfortable about sitting, meditating, or just being quiet. And I think we cover up, use lots of little different mechanisms to cover up, so that we don't have to feel that awkwardness, that silence, that sadness. So we distract ourselves with many different things. For myself it's perhaps eating, my phone, all the apps on there, motorcycling is one of them, another distraction. But when I force myself to meditate, force myself to sit, actually have to look at what is really going on underneath all that discursiveness, I do come across, and I have come across these things that I've described, this vulnerability, this sensitivity, sadness. It's big sadness. For myself, my experiences, but also because I know that others are experiencing similar things and other people suffer in the same way. And I know that the happiness that I and others often seek through distraction is only fleeting, and it's not a permanent fix, it's just a distraction from whatever is going on inside. So many realised people talk about the route to happiness is not through distraction, not through running in the opposite direction, not through going over our discomfort or what we find uncomfortable, not going under it or around it. It's actually by dealing with it and actually looking at what, with a sense of bravery actually. Not trying to destroy it or try to get rid of it in an aggressive manner, but just by being with it. And at first we may just feel a sense of uncomfortableness, a sense of sadness, but when we just lean into it with a sort of, as Pema Chodron talks about, a sense of curiosity, we find that that's what it is. It's like this tender, vulnerable heart and a sense of sadness and also loneliness. And also you find your own sense of basic goodness. It's not something that you aspire to be, it's something that you try to build up, it's just something that's there. Underneath all my neurosis, all my shit, all my sadness, all my inadequacies, there's a soft and tender heart, someone that's so capable of loving others. And when I begin to touch into this, I can also recognise, more than recognise, acknowledge that is in everyone, in all of us, and not just human beings. You can see it in animals, the tenderness and the vulnerability, and you can see the mechanisms which that we employ to cover up and to run away from that sense. And through connecting with my own basic goodness, through my own tender heart, through my own genuine sadness, my heart can break for myself and it can break for all other beings that suffer. And it can touch into something so beautiful. It's like genuine love all other beings, all other people, all other human beings and all other sentient beings. It's realistic. And in doing that, there's this sort of sense of connection that we crave actually. This is the thing we desire so much, is to feel connected with one another, to this beautiful earth, to all beings that are here. all beings everywhere, visible and invisible. And that is so liberating. This is the thing that we crave as connection. We do it through the media, we do it by trying to emulate others. We try to do it by conforming to other people's opinions so that we can become liked and loved. And really, it's really not the way. It's quite profound. And really the only way you can do it and connect with it in a realistic way, because there are other ways. When I was younger, I sometimes inadvertently opened the door by using chemicals and other things, but it's never sustainable. And also, when that happens, you can also say, well, it was whatever, I took acid or mushrooms or marijuana, and it's just temporary. It's something that can only be replicated or experienced again by using that particular key. But by investigating your own mind and heart, it's not just the mind, it's the mind and heart through meditation, it becomes a lot more sustainable and natural. And I know a lot of people don't really know about meditation, and the first thing they think of is, people always say, I can't meditate. I tried it once. I sat, and as soon as I tried to clear my mind, it just got worse. So yeah, I can't meditate, so they give up. But that, in fact, is part of the process. It's, when we sit, we try to discover peace, when we try to force the mind into being quiet and peaceful, it has other ideas, and in fact it gets worse. So what we do, instead of beating ourselves up and becoming aggressive with ourselves and saying, I'm shit, I can't do it, I'm useless, everyone else can do it better than me. To be honest, I'm not a good meditator. I'm useless at it, but I persevere and I keep looking, because what it is, it's not about finding peace, it's about becoming familiar with and acquainted with whatever stops you from feeling peaceful. So, for instance, it could be my discursive thoughts, it could be my own self-aggression, the way I criticise myself. I am shit at this, I'm fucking useless, everyone can do it better than me. Well, that becomes a tool in which we discover and find out about our own mechanisms and the way we think, or the way I think, so I can begin to look at that and say, hey, actually I'm being really hard on myself. I wouldn't treat another human being like that. So, and I have discovered this. How about I just be a little bit more gentle with myself? I deserve that. I've been through a lot. Why shouldn't I be kind to myself? So you begin to develop what is termed in Shambhala as Maitri, or within Buddhism it's learning to be friendly to yourself and be kind to yourself. And when you start to apply this technique in meditation, because you start, basically the basic technique is in shamatha is you observe the breath, the way that it enters and leaves the nostrils. You become aware of the sensation just below your nostrils. That's the best way that I find, because the breath, or watching the breath, can be a very broad sort of technique. Which part of the breath do you watch? The rising and the falling of the chest, the way that it moves your body, the sensation inside you, the breath as it leaves and enters the nose, or the sensation it creates on the top lip, and I find that by just observing the area just above my top lip, it's much more precise. And then you start doing this, and then within 1 or 2 breaths, you can guarantee, oh, off I go. I'm away with the fairies again, thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, or thinking what I'm going to do next, or thinking about something that I enjoyed in the past, or it could be anything. And then after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, you go, oh shit, I was meant to be meditating. Oh God, what a useless meditator I am. And then, you're beating yourself up. So you try to maybe look at forcing the mind. Right, mind, okay, I'm in charge. Watch the breath. You become aggressive. And I've discovered that doesn't work at all, actually. It gets worse. So a good technique is to say, alright, it's fine. Just come back to the breath. No worries. And then by doing that, the mind just starts to relax. There becomes more open space. And also you can look at the mechanisms. Being hard on myself, or whatever thought might arise, you can begin to look at that. So what they say is that the obstacles become the path. The obstacles become the paths. And we start to loosen and to be kinder to ourselves. The mind relaxes, generally has more space arises, there's more peace, there's a sense of belonging and being at home in your own body. And then you can start to look deeper and deeper. Yeah. And the benefits are indescribable. Well, you start to like yourself better, even love yourself, and when you do that, you create a sort of harmony within yourself, and other people recognise it and sense it, that you're being kinder to yourself, less aggressive, and people are affected by it. And also you have more of a genuine empathy and understanding and compassion for other people, because you know what they're going through, you know what they're trying to avoid. You see the mechanisms. And you don't have to take what their behaviour as personal, because you just recognise what they're trying to do. So you're less reactive to others, you're more peaceful, and you just become easy to live with. My wife Heidi, she says, I'm not so much of an arsehole anymore. I still have my moments, but they're less frequent. I'm less angry. And for me, this is the path forward. And I don't think there's any limits. I think the love within us can grow and grow and grow. There is no limit to it. There is no limit. And then we get tested when someone that really pisses us off, someone that's really difficult, and we get to that crunch point where we think, I could either react. Sometimes you do have to use a little bit of energy force in order to not to be aggressive, but sometimes to cut through their shit in order to reach through and touch them. And it's skillful means. So there is energy and power, but the energy and power is not in control. We are in control of the energy and power, but it's can be difficult. Sometimes when you can touch the heart of someone that is very aggressive and someone that is very fortified, and you can see within your heart that you can love them too. It's the most amazing feeling. It's just like the sky's the limit. You realise that all beings we can love all beings, no matter what their circumstance or their behaviour. It doesn't mean we have to tolerate how they behave. It doesn't mean that we have to be their emotional punch bag. And I think a lot of the time is like when we confront a person or we feel that they're behaving badly, by reacting on the spur of the moment very rarely helps. It's better to wait till things have quietened and they've quietened, they've become less angry. And in fact, most of the time they see it. Once they've calmed down, the rational mind starts to kick in, they see it. You don't need to say anything. But sometimes you can then approach them, and they're more receptive to what you have to say. It's a difficult path, and each person has their own ways of dealing with others and with people, but I think the key thing is just to come from a place of love and compassion. I feel quite emotional now just thinking about it. Sometimes I find that I'm in touch with this genuine heart of sadness, and at other times I get a little bit overconfident and a bit arrogant, and I feel it close up, and it can happen in a split second. So for instance, sometimes when there are situations when you feel that you should be compassionate or open to someone else's pain, you can't access it. And there's this very quick reaction in the mind which quite often springs out very quickly. Oh well, it's their own fault, or they're to blame, or it's usually very logical sort of thinking that puts a label on something, so that, and once we do that, the heart doesn't open. It's like we're protecting our own sensitivity, our own tender heart, by trying to intellectualise, contextualise, put someone in a box or label them. This is where meditation helps so much, because you create a sense of space, so that when feelings do arise, you can observe it without becoming embroiled or entangled in it, and then you have the opportunity to be there in a genuine way for others, rather than just labelling or intellectualising. Anyway, I hope that helps. I love doing these Dharma Biker videos. The reason being is that there's so many other biker vlogs and stuff. I enjoy riding my bike, I enjoy talking about my bike, but the thing that I feel that I really want to make a difference. If I can help one person in one moment in a genuine way, so that they may be able to see that there is another way. That's something that you can really give someone, isn't it, Sort of a sense of your genuineness. Anyway, I think that's enough nattering for now. If you'd like to ask me a question, and I'll do my best to answer. I'm not an expert, but I have some knowledge, and I feel that I'd like to answer a question, or to help if I can. If you've got a question, just let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to think about and answer any questions. And also, if you like this channel, please subscribe, press the subscribe button, and a like would be nice. Alright, anyway, take care. Love to you all. Thank you very much. Goodbye.